So as I was just saying, actually, my last comment, that the ruling power in Bangladesh, when viewed in its actually historical context, essentially actually rested with three intermingling oligarchs: the politicians, the civil bureaucrats, and the military. So while politicians and civil bureaucrats disputed most of the times, we always see there is a the liaison between the bureaucrats and military is always there. And what I'm optimistic about this election is that it has created an exit path for the bureaucratic and military oligarchs and restored the political power, which is a fundamental requirement for democratic development. Thank you.
Ali, I mean, most of these reforms that have been promised or attempted was achieved at best half-hearted, at best half of it. In many cases, say for example, the administrative reform didn't go anywhere practically.
And as for the anti-corruption measures, actually they progressed somewhat, but they were very problematic because of due process concerns in a significant number of the cases. And ultimately the anti-corruption process was stymied not so much by the military, but by the military acting under political pressure from the very party that's been elected, as well as by the party that's in opposition, to defeat the whole anti-corruption drive.
And I think to a certain extent, this is a
micro-level improvements. For instance, the number of signatures required to import something in Chittagong port was reduced from 56 to 4. So there are some micro-level developments, and I think the Regulatory Reform Commission's 8 or 9 recommendations are implemented. But on the corruption side, mainly what we have seen is that the government really didn't try to try the politicians. They just played with them. They didn't actually form the charges and everything, as Sara also mentioned. And
I think that's difficult to say, but there are a number of cases where there were charges, including Sheikh Hasina's case, including Khaleda Zia's case. Charges were framed. And even in those cases, as you've seen, that the people who brought those cases against them, one of them has been taken on a public platform by our Prime Minister-elect and said that he's withdrawn his allegations. That is the situation we're facing. It wasn't just the military at the barrel of a gun filing cases and withdrawing cases at the barrel of a gun. Unfortunately, it was political pressure and international pressure to hold the elections, which also partly led to the compromise of the anti-corruption drive. I think that's a very sad reality that we have to confront.
And just to add to that, it's like, I think this, the whole judicial process was undermined from the very beginning. I think there was lack of due process in the beginning. But at the same time, the same people who were not getting bails before, or who were getting accused and getting taken to jail on 2007, was similarly were getting very quick bails in the next year when it was politically convenient for the government.
Exactly.
So I think in some way it actually empowered the accused more, because now they're coming out and saying that, look, you tried, you didn't deliver, so we are not corrupt. And that's the negative thing that has happened to the whole anti-corruption drive.
Okay, go now to Syeed Ahamed, Senior Research Associate, Center for Policy Dialogue in Bangladesh.
This election, for all counts, was anti-autocrat and anti-militant. For the anti-autocrats, we have seen that in areas where actually Ershad's Jatiyo Party fought with Awami League, they lost actually 14 of the 16 seats. So which means it was as much anti-autocrat as much it was anti-militant. So both parties will have to actually deal with them, their own alliances. But what we want to, we want to praise that we have seen some development during the election campaign, where it was very, more moderate in many ways. Some political parties have actually given very specific targets and promises with their medium and short-term, targets. What we want to see is that the elected Prime Minister, like they have for the annual development program, they have this monitoring and evaluation division to check every year what they do. We want to see the Prime Minister on the last day of every year give a speech to the nation to show this much of their election manifesto was implemented and this much was not. We want to, and at the same time we want to see citizens monitoring about the whole implementation process. This is not the end, this is just the beginning, and otherwise we can't actually continue. Thank you.